So we are talking to Grassroots Democrats Marjorie Asturias, former state representative Lorraine Birabil of Dallas, and also Jody Bland. Thank you all so much. We appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Good to be here.
Okay, so Marjorie, we're going to start with you because the last time we spoke with you, you were pretty adamant. You wanted President Biden to drop out of the race. Here he has now done so. So what's your reaction and why do you think this is the best thing?
Well, I was so excited that I hopped off the couch as soon as I got the alert and interrupted my husband as he was mowing the lawn, just waving, "I have to show this alert to you." I'm a little bit bittersweet because I did campaign for President Biden. He has served this country for as long as I have been alive, and I am very grateful for all of his accomplishments. And I am unexpectedly emotional because it's been such an emotional 3+ weeks. But I appreciate that he has stepped forward, and I can only imagine what a difficult decision this was for him and his family. But I appreciate that he has stepped down and that he has endorsed Kamala Harris.
And Lorraine and Jody, the last time I spoke with both of you, you really supported President Biden. You wanted him to stay in the race. So what was your reaction today when you heard the news? And Lorraine, we'll start with you.
Well, first of all, it just reminded me of how incredibly patriotic President Biden has been, not just as a president, but throughout his years of service, always putting the country first. And so today, just as, he saved our democracy when he won 4 years ago, I believe in many ways he's acting to save our democracy today.
Jody.
Yes, last time we spoke, I described how President Biden has been a man of character and integrity throughout his political career, and think he showed more of that character and integrity today than most politicians show in their entire lifetimes. For the last 4 years, President Biden has listened to and delivered for the American people, and that's exactly what he did today. So it is right on brand for President Biden, and I am extremely excited about the amount of unity that I've seen coalescing amongst Democrats in the last 3 or 4 hours this afternoon. Everyone is ready to take on President Trump and ensure that the best future of this country prevails.
And so each of you are now backing Kamala Harris for president? Is that right? And why do you think, and Lorraine, we'll start with you. Why do you think Kamala Harris is the best person to be on the top of the ticket?
Well, I mean, she's prepared for this, right? President Biden chose her to be his running mate 4 years ago. She's seen closer than anyone, perhaps, what this job requires. She has served at, the federal, state, and local levels, and she's prepared and she's ready. And most importantly, she's competent compared to what we're seeing on the other side.
Jody.
Yeah, it's going to set quite a stark contrast to the Trump ticket now, when we have a vibrant young woman running for the presidency. Voters have been telling voters have been telling the whole country for the last several months that they didn't want to see a repeat of the 2020 election. They didn't want to relitigate the last 8 years of American history. And the Democratic Party today proved that we are listening to those voters, and we're willing to set aside personal ambitions. Our leaders are willing to set aside, lots and lots of power to really ensure and preserve democracy.
And Marjorie.
I will echo what Jody and Lorraine said, and especially the fact that Kamala Harris has not just served at the local, state, and federal level, but she has won elections at all those levels. She knows what it takes to organize and run a campaign, to win a campaign. She has stood by the side of President Biden for the last 3.5 years and has been prepared from day one. So I don't doubt that she will be not only an effective communicator. A word that I've heard often over the last several weeks is that we need someone who can successfully prosecute the case against Donald Trump. And she has been the prosecutor of the state of California, one of the largest states in the country, successfully before moving on to the Senate. So she's an excellent messenger. I think she is already starting to unify the party. So I can't think of a better candidate to run up against the Republicans in November.
As you know, the Republicans are already saying they're going to prosecute the case against Kamala Harris the same way they did as far as President Biden is concerned when it comes to the record inflation we saw back in 2022 and the record numbers of people who've entered the country illegally, particularly on the southern border under the Biden-Harris administration. So what do you think is an effective answer for Kamala Harris as she runs for president, if in fact she is the nominee? And Jody, we'll start with you on this.
Sure. I mean, it's important to start with the fact that unemployment's at record lows, the stock market's at record highs. Bidenomics has been successful. Inflation caused by COVID has tempered. We're in a really strong place economically. Kamala Harris will continue that track record. The global economic community looks to America for certainty and for stability. A Donald Trump JD Vance ticket provides the exact opposite of that. So in regards to any sort of economic policy and the economy moving forward, it's crystal clear that Democrats offer a better message to the everyday American.
Marjorie.
In terms of your question about the border, I don't doubt that this will be one of the toughest issues that President Harris would face in her administration. It has been the toughest issue since I was an immigrant in the 80s here in the United States. We thought we had solved a lot of things when the government had issued the 1987 amnesty for undocumented immigrants, but it has just kept becoming this albatross on every administration's neck. But we can do hard things. And the difference between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump is that Kamala understands not only the needs of Americans to unify under a compassionate administration, but also the needs of the large immigrant populations, most of whom contribute significantly to this country, undocumented and documented, whether you're a dreamer or you're someone like me who was a relatively late in life US citizen. We have contributed tremendous things, and she understands that. She herself comes from that tradition. So I think she will take that understanding. She will take the policies under President Biden and move forward with if not solving, I'm not under the illusion that we will solve the immigration problem, but create a solution that will lend that compassion and understanding, and that the understanding that not only is immigration about people coming into our country, but it's also about how we can boost our economy.
And Lorraine.
I couldn't agree more. I think that it's the contrast is pretty clear here, right? We have someone who is a convicted felon and an insurrectionist versus someone who has been the top law enforcement officer of her state and her locality. And so I don't think there's going to be any dilutions among voters, right, on who these candidates are and where they stand. And frankly, I think the benefit of this election is the die has been cast. I don't think that there are very many persuadable voters, frankly. And so this election, in my opinion, is mainly going to be about who is going to be able to generate excitement and buzz among their base and get them out to vote. And Kamala Harris, she is exactly the type of energetic candidate we need to win in November.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Marjorie Asturias, Lorraine Birabil, and Jody Bland. Thank you all so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.